The moment had finally arrived. With a dramatic flourish, Olu Maintain made his entrance. His fans erupted into a chaotic frenzy as they laid eyes on him, and the roar of the crowd grew deafening. His entrance was nothing short of spectacular. Suspended in mid-air, he soared down towards the stage, inside a custom-designed transparent orb that glowed with a rainbow of lights, reflecting off the faces of the thousands below. The roar of the crowd was deafening as the music throbbed through the arena, and Olu's voice, rich, smooth, swept across the crowd, sending waves of excitement through the audience. Olu was living the dream, a massive global star. His performances had become legendary. Wembley wasn't his first time filling a stadium of this magnitude. He had also sold out performances at Madison Square Garden in New York and had headlined major concerts in London, to name a few. He had become the shining example of success that few in his country could ever imagine attaining. With his electrifying smile, he stood there on stage, basking in the glory of his achievements. His voice soared, his fans screamed in joy, and the energy in the arena was unfathomable. But beneath the surface of this spectacle, the man on stage was far from happy. In fact, he was deeply troubled, broken in a way that no amount of fame and wealth or success could cure. What the audience didn't know was that Olu's rise to stardom wasn't just the result of hard work and talent, it came with a price. Olu had made a pact with the devil. A document had been signed, not with ink, but with his very soul. This was the dark secret behind his meteoric rise. The crowd cheered and danced, completely oblivious to the turmoil within the man at the center of it all. Olu, a humble church boy, had now become the man the world adored as Olu Maintain. But the journey to this moment was far from the fairy tale it seemed. Olu's journey to stardom began in the humble pews of his local church, where the sound of his voice echoed like a whisper from heaven itself. From the moment he started singing, it was clear that Olu possessed a gift. His voice had the power to move hearts and uplift spirits. Growing up in a small town, Olu was raised in a modest but loving home. His parents, deeply rooted in their faith, were regulars at church. And it wasn't long before Olu found himself drawn to the church and he joined the choir. As the years passed, Olu's voice transformed from a quiet whisper into a force of nature. He became the choir's lead singer at an early age, his powerful voice filling the church every Sunday, captivating the hearts of everyone who heard it. His music wasn't just about hitting the right notes, it was healing for the heart. And then there was Lola. Lola, the girl he had known since childhood, the one whose smile could light up the darkest room, the girl who had always been there, singing beside him in the church choir. They were inseparable, two voices in harmony. She was the spark in his heart. Lola was more than a childhood friend to him. She was his first love, and the one who made him believe that there was more to life than the simple joys of the church. But as life would have it, Lola's dream extended far beyond the church doors. She had aspirations, desires, and a hunger for a life that Olu could never have imagined. And just like that, she left the church, the first and only person to ever break his heart. Olu continued his path of singing, leading worship and praises at the church, pouring his heart into every song. The congregation loved him. He often found himself thinking about Lola, the girl he had loved for so long. Despite his best efforts to move on, a small part of him always hoped they would reconnect. But time had passed, and life had carried them in different directions. A year had gone by since he last heard from her, but as he sat outside his house one quiet afternoon, strumming his guitar and lost in thought, the world around him suddenly changed. Two black cars entered the gate. The first car was a Hummer, and it was followed by a luxury sedan. Olu's heart skipped a beat. Who could this be? The doors of the cars opened simultaneously, and two towering figures dressed in black suits stepped out. Bodyguards. His mind raced. But it wasn't until the door of the Hummer opened that his heart truly stopped. There she was, Lola. She stepped out of the car exuding confidence and style. She looked like someone from another world, unreachable, untouchable. Olu could hardly believe his eyes. She was here, standing just a few feet away from him, looking more stunning than the last time he saw her. The years had changed her, but there was no mistaking the familiar warmth in her eyes. Olu stood frozen, unsure of what to do, his breath catching in his throat. Lola smiled at him with the same warmth that had once drawn him in. She reached out and pulled him into an embrace. Olu, it's been so long, she said softly. He stood there stiff at first, unsure how to react, but then the years of distance melted away and he couldn't help but return the hug. His heart beat faster, the emotions flooding back all at once. Lola, I didn't know you'd come back, Olu stammered, stepping back slightly to take in the sight of her. She laughed softly, brushing a stray lock of her head behind her ear. I know, it's been a while, but I've been busy. You are different, Olu said, the words escaping before he could stop them. He couldn't hide the shock in his voice. Lola was no longer the girl he remembered. She was someone else entirely. She smiled, a touch of playfulness in her eyes. I guess I've changed. Life has a way of doing that to you. But I haven't forgotten where I came from, and I haven't forgotten you, Olu. Olu felt his chest tightened at her words. He had always cared for her, always hoped they would somehow end up together. And now, standing here, seeing her in front of him, his emotions felt like a storm inside. How are you? She asked, her voice softer now. How is the church? Good, Olu replied, his voice steady. After a long silence, the question he had held back finally slipped from his lips. Lola, he began, his voice conscious but steady. I have to ask, how did you get all this? The fame, the money? It feels like it happened so fast. Lola's smile softened. You remember when I left, right? She said, her voice quieter now. I went to Lagos, staying with my aunt for a while. It wasn't easy. I didn't have anything really, no big breaks, no promises, just a dream. So I started performing wherever I could, birthday parties, church events, anything, anywhere. At first, I did it all for free, just hoping someone would notice me. I sang at every little event around the neighborhood, hoping that if I was good enough, someone would take a chance on me. Then one night, Lola continued, her eyes gleaming. I got an opportunity that changed everything. I performed at a club, just another random gig. But it was there that I met him, Mr. Mighty J. Olu raised an eyebrow. Mighty J? The music mogul? Lola nodded. Yeah, he was in the crowd that night, watching me like I was the only one in the room. After my set, he came up to me, told me he loved my voice and the way I performed. I didn't even believe it at first, but he handed me his card and told me to meet him the next day at his house. I was nervous, but I went. Olu's curiosity grew and he leaned forward, listening closely as Lola spoke of the turning point in her journey. When I got there, he told me he saw something special in me. He said he wanted to sign me to his record label. He believed in me when no one else did. And that was the start of it all. Her face lit up as she spoke of the moment. From there, things just kept falling into place for me. I started making hit songs, one after another. Every track I released, it was like the world was ready to embrace me. The money followed the fame, and the fame followed the work. I didn't just get lucky, I worked hard to get here. And now, well, you see the result, Lola gleamed, a glint of pride in her eyes. Olu was silent for a moment, letting her words sink in. That's incredible, Lola, Olu said, his voice a mixture of admiration and disbelief. But is it really everything you thought it would be? Lola paused, her smile fading for a moment as she considered his question. It's more than I ever imagined, Olu. But sometimes it's still lonely at the top. The fame, the wealth, it comes with sacrifices. But I guess I've made my peace with it. Her words hung in the air, leaving Olu to reflect on everything she had shared. He realized that while Lola's journey had led her to the top, it wasn't without its own struggles. Yet in her eyes, there was a spark, a fire that told him that she had never given up on her dreams, no matter the cost, and that in itself was something he couldn't help but to respect. She placed a hand on his Olu. I know what you're thinking. You've heard the rumors, seen the stories, but listen to me, she said, her voice earnest. I don't regret it. I've made a name for myself, and I did it on my terms. And the best part, I'm still me. You can still be you, Olu. You don't have to give up what you believe in. If you want to keep singing your gospel music, do it. The world needs people like you, and I promise you we can still make music together. Her words hit him like a wave. She wasn't asking him to abandon his faith. She was telling him that he didn't have to change who he was to succeed. They could still be together, still pursue their dreams, but on a stage that spanned the world. I don't know if I belong in that world, Olu said quietly, his voice betraying a hint of doubt. But I'll think of it, he said. Lola nodded, offering him a warm smile before she turned to leave. I'll let you think on it, Olu, but just know that the world is waiting for you. As she walked away, Olu couldn't help but feel the weight of her words pressing on him. It wasn't just about the fame or the money. It was about the possibility of living the life where he didn't have to choose between his faith and his dreams. A life where both could coexist. A few days later, Olu traveled to Lagos for the HFG concert, the Harmonious Fellowship Gathering, where his dream of reaching a wider audience and draw them closer to God. It was a dream come true, an opportunity to be recognized on a grand stage and join the prestigious choir, which would open doors to global performances and recognition. He had worked so hard, and this event felt like the culmination of years of dedication. And when the day came, reality hit hard. Olu poured his heart into his performance, as he always did, but backstage something didn't feel right. The atmosphere wasn't filled with the usual fellowship he expected. Instead, there was a noticeable divide, a hierarchy based on more than just talent. When the panel began selecting choristers for the choir, Olu stood with a heavy heart, waiting for his name to be called. But he wasn't. His name was absent from the list. The sting of rejection hit him harder than he thought it would. He had worked tirelessly, stayed true to his faith, and given everything he had to the music. But in the end, the selection wasn't based on merit. Some of the choristers chosen had connections, others had the platform already built. And Olu, he was just another name in the crowd. He could barely hold himself together as the event continued. The joy that should have come with the recognition of his hard work felt hollow. The more he thought about it, the more the realization sank in. His talent, his faith, and his heart didn't seem to matter in this system. Later that evening, after the event, Olu sat alone in his hotel room, replaying the day in his head. His dream of becoming a global music figure was slipping further from his grasp. How many more times would he have to prove himself to a system that didn't truly value him? And when did it all mean if he wasn't even able to be seen by the people who mattered most? It was in that moment of vulnerability that his phone buzzed. It was Lola. I saw your performance, Olu. You were amazing. But I know how these church events go. Don't let this setback define you. You've got so much more to offer. Let's talk when you're ready. Her message was like a spark in the dark. It reminded him of the world outside, a world where talent was the only currency, where success didn't depend on who you knew or where you came from. It wasn't just Lola's success that drew him in, it was the promise of a chance to break free from the constraints that had been holding him back. So he thought. Lala wasn't asking him to change. She wasn't asking him to abandon his faith. She was simply offering him an opportunity to be seen, to be heard on the global stage, to break free from the small world that had failed to recognize his worth. Olu was torn. He thought about the life he had built in the church that had brought him purpose. But now, after everything that had happened, it felt like the right opportunity to take was Lola's offer. Sitting there in the silence of his hotel room, Olu knew he was standing at a crossroads. The pain of rejection from the event was still fresh, but what hurt more was the sense of being overlooked, of having worked so hard for so little recognition. He didn't want to feel invisible anymore. The temptation of Lola's offer was real. It was a way out, a chance for everything he had ever wanted. And for the first time, he allowed himself to seriously consider it. If he left Lagos now, there was no telling when he would be back. This was a once in a lifetime opportunity to decide what path he would follow. Olu grabbed his phone, his fingers hovering over Lola's name. He had no more time to waste. He had to make a choice. Now, without hesitating, he called her. I'm ready. Can you come pick me up? Of course, Olu. I'll be there first thing in the morning. Just wait for me. The next morning, as the sun began to rise over Lagos, Olu packed the last of his things, his heart racing with anticipation and uncertainty. He had made up his mind, though the weight of his decisions still lingered. He walked out of the hotel, and there in the driveway, Lola's sleek black car was waiting for him. But I can't shake the feeling that I'm making a huge mistake. Lola gave him a reassuring look, one that promised him support no matter what. There are no mistakes, Olu. Just new beginnings. You've got the talent, the heart, and the drive. Let's make sure the world hears it. Olu hesitated for just a moment. As they drove away from the hotel, the city of Lagos spread out before him, bustling and vibrant. A new chapter of his life was unfolding. But what that meant exactly, he wasn't sure. All he knew was that with Lola's help, he had a chance to step into the spotlight he had always dreamed of. As the car sped towards the unknown, Olu couldn't help but wonder, was this the right choice? Would fame and success bring him happiness? Or would it come at a great cost? He wasn't sure, but one thing was certain, he was about to find out. After arriving at Lola's house, Olu was stunned. The big mansion, filled with her words and accolades, was a world he had never known. It was a far cry from the humble churches he had ministered in, and the contrast was jarring. The walls of the house were adorned with framed platinum records, gold certifications, and posters of Lola's sold out concerts. Every corner seemed to shout success. Olu couldn't help but feel both awe and discomfort. But he wasn't here for this. He had a mission, and he turned to Lola, who was smiling proudly at her surroundings. This is all beautiful, Lola, Olu said, his voice firm but respectful. I didn't come here to count bridges. I came here to win souls. I need to know, how are we going to do this? Olu, the platform I have built, the connections I've made, they can help you do what you love. We can get your gospel music out to more people than you ever imagined. But first, we need to meet Mighty J. He's the one who can help you make that happen. Rest for a bit. Later this afternoon, we will head over to Mighty J's place. He knows you're coming and he's looking forward to meeting you. The anticipation buzzed in Olu's chest as he got ready. His mind was still overwhelmed by the grandeur of Lola's house, but he had to push those distractions aside. He was here to do the work of God, not to get swept up in a world of excess. A few hours later, they made their way to Mighty J's mansion, a sleek modern structure that felt like the physical embodiment of his power and influence in the music world. It was clear that this man was a giant in the industry, and the walls of his home echoed with stories of his success. Mighty G greeted them at the door, a tall and confident man, showing off his success and wealth. He led Olu straight into his state of the art music studio, where everything was set up for a recording session. There was no pleasantries, no introductions. It was all business. Let's get to work, Mighty J said, gesturing to the microphone. Record whatever you feel, Olu. Just sing. I want to hear what you've got. Olu stepped up to the mic, feeling the weight of the moment. This was the man who could open doors to the world. The pressure was immense, but Olu took a deep breath, letting the music flow from his soul. He sang a song that had always been close to his heart, a song about hope, redemption, and the love of God. When he finished, Mighty J didn't immediately speak. He just sat there, nodding to the beat, taking it all in. After a long moment, he looked up, his face unreadable. You've got something, Olu, he said, his voice deep and calm. I like your voice. You can sing, but I need to know, what do you want from all this? Olu sat down across from him, his mind racing. This was the moment of truth. He had to be honest. I want to reach as many people as I can, Olu said, his voice steady, his heart resolute. Yes, the money is important, but it's not my focus. What matters is the soul I can save. If I can climb the highest stage and command the attention of thousands, then that's what I want. Not for fame, but to bring people to Christ. Mighty J listened intently, his eyes narrowing slightly. He leaned back in his chair. You are not like the others, are you? He said, almost to himself. You really want to use this platform for something bigger than yourself? Olu nodded. That's all I've ever wanted. There was a long pause as Mighty J considered his words carefully. I hear you, Olu, but you need to understand something. The industry isn't going to make it easy for you. You want to preach to the world, but this world doesn't always play by those rules. There are sacrifices, real sacrifice. Olu's heart raced. What kind of sacrifice? You can have everything you want, the fame, the money, the recognition, but there's always a price. And if you're not willing to pay it, you won't get that far. This world doesn't work with simple beliefs, it works with power. You want to preach the gospel, you will need power to make it happen. Olu felt a chill run down his spine. You've got to decide, Olu, Mighty J continued. The gospel can reach millions, but it won't come without its price. So what's it going to be? Olu sat there stunned. The weight of Mighty J's words settled over him like a heavy cloud. What was the cost of success? Was it worth compromising his beliefs to achieve everything he had ever dreamed of? And if he didn't take the offer, would he lose his chance forever? After a few moments of silence, Lola pulled Olu to the side, turned to him, her gaze steady and convincing. Olu, listen to me, she said, her voice soft yet firm. You've always wanted to reach people, to make a difference, to use your gift to touch life. This is what this is all about. Olu looked at her, doubt still clouding his mind. But the sacrifice. They keep saying there's a sacrifice. What does that even mean? What am I really signing up for? Lola walked over to him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Olu, you're already here. You have already come this far. The world isn't going to hand you success without you putting in the work. And you know what? The sacrifice they're talking about, it could just be the hard work you've been avoiding. It could be dropping hit after hit, consistently working to build your brand, just like every other artist who's ever made it. Her words were smooth, calculated. You've always known this isn't going to be easy. But think about it. What really matters here? The sacrifice? It could be anything. But what's your focus? It should be the millions of people you will reach, the souls you will save. You'll be performing at Christian concerts, big stadiums, big arenas, spreading your message to a global audience, and your music will inspire believers everywhere. Olu still hesitated, but Lala's eyes were unwavering. Her confidence infectious. We'll be on the world stage, Olu, the biggest platforms, the largest audiences, all the while doing what you love most, singing, sharing God's word through your voice. The world needs you. They need your message, and you can be the one to give it to them. You will be remembered for more than just your voice. You will be remembered for the life you have touched. That's what matters. If the sacrifice is what it takes to get there, then I'll face it. Lola's eyes softened. A proud smile spread across her face. That's the spirit, Olu. You will see. We will do this together. Olu sat across from Mighty J, his heart pounding in his chest. This was it, a moment he had worked so hard for. After all the discussions, the doubts, and the internal struggles, he was finally ready. He had made up his mind. He wasn't going back. He couldn't. I'm ready, sir, Olu said, his voice steady but filled with uncertainty. Mighty J looked at him with a knowing smile, clearly pleased with Olu's resolve. He slid a contract across the table. Good, here's the deal. It's a simple one for now. Sign this and you are officially part of the label. We will get started on the first track. Olu glanced at the contract, his fingers hesitating over the paper. He had no choice now. The deal was right in front of him, and he had come too far to back out. He signed it. Excellent, Mighty J said, his smile widening. Now go and write something. Come back in a week. I expect you to bring your best work. Olu's heart lifted, a rush of excitement flooding through him. He had made it. Lola, ever the guiding presence, told him to stay with her at her place as long as he needed. With a roof over his head and the pressure mounting, Olu worked tirelessly on his music. Day after day, he locked himself in a small corner of the house, scribbling lyrics, composing melodies. A week passed and Olu's song was ready. He went into the studio, working day and night on it. For 3 days he barely slept, consumed with the need to get it right. The studio lights never dimmed, the sounds of his music filling every empty corner as he poured his heart into the track. When the song was finally finished, he played it back to himself, exhaustion heavy in his body. There was no denying it. He had given everything he had to it. He was proud of the work he had done. The song was released to the world and it flopped hard. No one listened. The feedback was brutal. Reviews came in with scathing remarks, dismissing it as lacking, as nothing more than noise. For Olu, it was like a punch to the gut. His dreams, his effort, all of it seemed to have fallen apart in a blink of an eye. Olu tried again. He redid the song and then tried a new one. Each time it was the same story, disappointing results, bad reviews, and a growing sense of frustration. 2 months went by. Mighty J called him in for a meeting. He could feel the tension in the room. Mighty J's usual calm demeanor was now edged with frustration. Olu, what is happening? I have invested a lot of money in you, and still I get nothing. No returns, bad reviews. It's affecting my brand, and I can't afford to keep investing in something that's not working. This has never happened before. Olu's heart sank. He felt the weight of failure pressing on him. He had given everything, but the industry wasn't giving him the return he had hoped for. He was caught in a web of doubt and self blame. If you can't fix this, Olu, Mighty J continued, his voice stern, I will have no choice but to drop you from the label. This is business. I can't jeopardize my reputation for you. Heartbroken and disillusioned, Olu returned to Lola. He was confused. What went wrong? Why hadn't his song connected? Was he truly cut out for this world? Thank you guys for watching to the end, and please stay tuned for part 2. What do you think Olu would do? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.